Okay, so we are live. So depending on, if you have a presentation you want, okay, so you're all good. You've got screen sharing abilities.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, so we are live. So depending on, Okay, so good evening. Welcome everyone to Updates from the C-Suite with Young Black and in Business. My name is Brittany Miller. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer. You know that we go through a whole week worth of spotlights. We've got Macia. We were on Facebook yesterday. We're on YouTube today. So we're just going to meet her, learn a little bit more about her, about the business. So without further ado, let me just toss it over to her. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Macia Outlaw and I'm from Brandon, Mississippi. I'm a college student right now and I'm a biology major. And so my plans are to go to medical school and become a medical doctor. I'm wanting to study women's health and become an OBGYN later in the future. And so what I've created right now while I'm in undergrad is a business that targets mental health. Since this pandemic has started, our mental health has actually turned into a fourfold decrease, and it's actually gotten worse than what it used to be. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick and show you guys a bit of what my business is about. Okay, and let me know if you guys see it. All right, can you guys see this? Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna just skip through some of these slides. We talked about it yesterday on the Facebook Live, but to summarize, I was talking about how we all faced a lot of school closures and small business closures, as well as stay-at-home orders during this pandemic. And we also saw the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. We also had to face countless quarantining, 6 feet, and for some of us that contracted COVID, what did you have to go through? What did you have to experience? And so it got to the point where, you had to stop and think, how did that affect your mental health? Did you need somebody that you needed to talk to, that you needed to gain motivation from, empowerment? Did you feel like you needed to open up? But sometimes in some moments, you couldn't just sit there and speak to somebody. Like I said, I did a research and I found that during this pandemic, our mental illness skyrocketed. In the Black community, it skyrocketed to about 48%. The Hispanic and Latino communities, mental illness skyrocketed to about 46, and the white and Caucasian communities skyrocketed to about 41% outside of what it normally is. Because of this, I sat down and thought about, what if I can go ahead and create something that's virtual and that people have easy access to, where they can talk to anybody and have confidence in who they're talking to and get the advice that they need. My name is Macia Outlaw, and I am the founder of OB-GYN. OB-GYN is this platform where you get to go online and be in a one-on-one session with somebody that can give you motivation, advice, and if you're a student, tutoring. The whole goal of OB-GYN is to promote peace, calmness, and tranquility through our 35-minute sessions. And so here are some slides that are going to kind of show how to get on OB-GYN. You can simply look us up on Google, and we are typically the first link that you can kind of bring up on your computers. And once you click our link, this is what you'll see. This is going to be a message that everyone sees, and it breaks down how we are going to be your personal support system through every season that you face things like depression, stress, anxiety, moments where you just need that person to come and uplift you and push you. And so who are the people uplifting and pushing you? We have a team of influencers. And so I don't have all my influencers on here, but we range from 18 years old to in our 50s. And we're just, again, here for anybody who wants a specific person to come and speak to them and to be able to provide them the motivation that they need. We also have it to where if you're interested in becoming an influencer or tutor, you can apply and fill out the application. We're very open to different ideas as far as what kind of sessions you can bring to OB-GYN, and of course expand what our platform could be of use for. We also have a blog that you can submit a quote specifically by you. Maybe it can help somebody one day, but we have that option if you would like to contribute to OB Great in some way. So now, how do you book an online session with OB Great? OB Great sessions are about 35 minutes. And before you go down and scroll down the options of sessions that we offer, you have to click enter site and read our disclaimer. We make sure that our customers understand that we're not professionals. We simply are a means of an easy access way for people to gain help, encouragement, motivation at the touch of their fingers. The different categories OB Great can offer to people is motivation. So as you see across the screen, we have school encouragement, people who are facing depression and anxiety and need to vent about it. We're here for that. People who are parents, we have influencers who are parents that they can ask questions to and really get advice from it. We also have communication. People who are international students, people who are in college and need college advice about where to go next in their track with college, or if they're not even considering college, we're here for that. Come talk to us. We even go so far as to talking about dating advice, and we let sometimes our older influencers kind of take on this if they've had marriage advice. Sometimes this will help people kind of start thinking about, okay, is this my priority or should my priority be elsewhere? So the next few sessions are going to tailor towards the career services and tutoring. And so career services, we offer everyone the opportunity to go through a job interview. We also have an influencer who's served in the military. And so those who have questions about, you know, what has your experience been in the military? Should I go into the military? What branch do you think is best for me? We have it to where you can just simply get advice from somebody. And these sessions, again, are $8.75. And so, you know, you can't lose with that, but you can talk to somebody and, you know, maybe you'll come out of it thinking, okay, maybe this is the solidified track that I want to go in. Maybe this is not. But at least with OB Great, we gave you a start to where you're starting to think about your future. So tutoring, we're going to be expanding this soon, but we have Spanish tutoring, chemistry, college algebra. So we go from motivation to career services to tutoring with OB Great, because since most everything is virtual, we want to be able to make sure our mental health services can go virtual and they're easy to use. Now, if you continue with the bookings application, you'll see different dates that you can select your session to be on. So here's our staff that you'll see. You can select a day, and our staff is going to kind of range from anywhere from 4 to 5 people, depending on who's available that day. And so at this point, you can select any time of the day that we're available. And so during the session, we see that there's an influencer available at 8:30 p.m. at night. Cool. Now let's go ahead and select her. The next thing our customers, we want them to fill out is our booking application. And our booking application basically gives us a little bit of information about what you would like to talk about, and our influencers get to directly interact with you. So if you have any questions, you're free to email and to just communicate with your influencer. But with them being the influencer, they'll have to reach out to you. And so any questions that you have prior to the session, they'll be more than willing to ask. So is there more to OB Great? And I'm so sorry if you guys hear a little Chihuahua and Jack Russell barking. That's my 2 animals that I have. But we have the OB Great Ascension. If you're familiar with Ascension by Maxwell, the word ascension is uplifting and bringing to a higher power. And so we'll have some speakers come and talk about different topics. Back in April, we had Miss Tony Lewis come and talk about encouragement through COVID. And we allowed people to join on via Zoom by going on our website and clicking that Zoom link you see in the right-hand corner. And this gives people the opportunity to talk with other people who may be therapists, who may be counselors. And she's a social worker. So a lot of people were able to come on and interact with her and almost kind of use that session as a free session to kind of vent and open up and ask any questions they have about themselves, what direction they should go in, anything that's kind of concerning the person. We have merchandise, and we're looking to expand that. And we want to be able to find merchandise that fits the needs of our people. Anything that's a stress reliever, we're planning to incorporate that into our store. So right now you see basic teas, we have water bottles, but in the future, as long as you keep up with OB Great, we're going to be incorporating more mental health targeting items and stationary items. So you'll see that in the future. Okay. Here are a few reasons people might want to become OB Great influencers. And so in the case that you are considering wanting to be an influencer, you love OB Great, you love what we do and how we're able to communicate with people and give them that motivation, right? Here are some reasons that my influencers kind of gave to make them want to become an OB Great influencer. So here are a few points. At the very end of my presentation, I attached our contact information. And of course, you can go to the OB Great website and scroll down to the very bottom of the homepage, and the same information is there. And so you're able to call us, you can email us, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But that's going to conclude my presentation about OB Great. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, I do have a few questions. I think the first question I have is, are you an active influencer? And if you are, what is your area of expertise?
Yes, so I am an influencer right now, and my area of expertise probably has to be encouragement through COVID. Really all the motivational sections, because I've had my personal experiences with my ups and downs in the past, and so it's easy for me as a pre-med student and as a student who's had military parents, and I've had to learn how to be patient with them. I know how to sit down and listen to people and give them the feedback that they need, not necessarily what they want, right? I've also tutor, so chemistry, Spanish. I also speak Spanish. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll think about some sessions that will benefit OB Great. I'm like, okay, is that something I could do? Okay, maybe not. Or can I ask the other influencers, would they be interested in it? Or do the other influencers have any other ideas to what we can bring to OB Great? And so I've been able to get responses like networking. So I'm really good at teaching people how to network and how to communicate with people in businesses and with people in the healthcare field, how to ask about observing, things of that nature. And so those are kind of my sections that I'll really work with.
Okay, and I think that's actually a really great segue to OB Great does a lot with mental health services, but OB Great is also a future company, correct?
Absolutely. And so,
Okay.
yes, so my end goal of medical school is becoming an OBGYN. And so whenever you think about when I say OB Great, you think about, oh, be great. Like I'm telling you to be your best self. But the way it's spelled is OB, as in that also reminds me that I want to go to school to be a medical doctor. I don't want to stop here at my business because it's so great. And so eventually what I'm going to branch off into is whenever I do become an OBGYN, I'm going to be able to make OB Great into a sort of women's mental health and create care packages for not only my regular customers out in the real world, but for women who have had babies, and to make sure that they have OB Great's care kit, because it's going to be specifically made to make sure the mental health, the postpartum depression, things like that can be regulated. After a woman may have a baby, I plan to have some free sessions, and they're required to do this session in that session, to have some items that'll help them cope with post deliveries and things of that nature.
Okay, see, so now I'm starting to understand how everything is really coming together. OB Great really is the foundation, it's the infrastructure, because actually, as you actually become licensed, OB Great is your resource. So everything really is in-house.
Absolutely. So OB Great, so OB Great, it's definitely we started last year. And so we've slowly kind of grown and changed. We used to have 8 sessions because we didn't know where we wanted to take it. And over time, I began to see what my classmates were going through the pre-med track. A lot of people face depression, and they were like, I wish I could talk to somebody. I can't go to my professors because I don't feel like I get that gratification of it's going to be okay. I can make it. So over the years, it's just evolved. And as I got to sit down and think what I really wanted this to be, I find it forever changing. But I find that the central mission is to make sure people are able to communicate with others, maybe not in their same area, local area, somebody that's in another state, but they're able to communicate virtually. So that it may give them more of an opportunity to venture out and find the solutions to their problems.
Yes. I mean, and I have a 5-year-old, so definitely now hearing the wide breadth of your resources, I can definitely appreciate that, because is postpartum one of those things where you can only call it that if it gets diagnosed? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So, but that's not to say that women aren't experiencing it.
Right.
But if you don't have the resources, if you don't know why you feel this way or how long you've been feeling this way, if you don't have anyone to back that around with, which I do think happens, then especially I feel like when you start to talk about, well, what does that look like in the Black culture? I mean, I could see a woman suffering from postpartum, but maybe not even having the space to understand, like, hunty.
Exactly. And I was really inspired by my mom because she was a teen mother. She was 19 when she had me. And so listening to her experiences, talking about how it was so difficult for her to go through that. And at one point almost become homeless, and how basically my father had to come in and really just help her, just kind of come from where she was. And now she's here today as a healthcare professional. Something like that would have been so beneficial to her in the past. And so that's kind of what inspired me to go ahead and take this track of, okay, let's fix mental health before I go to medical school. Let's see how I can help the general public. When I go through medical school, maybe it could change. Maybe I can have different categories of OB-GYN. We have OB-GYN for women. We have OB-GYN for, okay, maybe mental health, and we're going to help this specific audience. But we want the central theme, the central message to be people get to talk to other people, and they'll be able to get any kind of care that they need from us. This is going to be like OB great care, different from healthcare, different from any other care.
People get to talk to people, and you'll really have control over what the quality of that service looks like.
Definitely. Most definitely.
Wow. Okay, see, this is a different conversation than what we had yesterday. Now I have a completely different, understanding of the big master plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so when are you supposed to actually be heading into medical school?
So I applied this year, and I'm trying, so I'll find out next month if I got in. And so fingers crossed, but if I didn't, believe it or not, it's not going to kill me, because it'll give me the opportunity to take a semester off to be able to plan more with OB-GYN. And I think that's going to be valuable. I didn't learn how to study until this year. And that took years with me trying to figure out, how do I study for my science classes? And at my school, I'm taking medical school level classes. And so now I'm seeing how to study. And though it may not fully reflect on my med school application, I still want to be able to be given the option. If I get accepted this year, I'm going to start medical school and I'm going to do great. If I don't get accepted this year, I'll be able to take the time and work on OB-GYN and craft it some more, because this is a great platform and I want it to continuously be here for anyone who needs it, because I needed it when I grew up, and I didn't have it.
Yes. I mean, I definitely think your outlook is amazing, which makes sense while you're setting up this platform and this infrastructure the way you are now. It's funny because I just had a conversation. I was talking about, a defining moment in my life. And I was actually, when I was at San Diego State, I was actually academically disqualified.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I had to do everything I could. I had to appeal. I had to go through all the processes so that I could get back in school. Mm-hmm. But it's just kind of like, these experiences are so important, And then it also opened me up to the idea that there's never been a door closed to me that was made for me. So even what you're talking about with school, if it's this semester or it's next semester. Yeah, because there's never actually anything that's not for you, that's for you. If it's for you, it's yours.
Most definitely. And I always like to tell people the truth about school. You don't have to complete it in 4 years, like a lot of people go on to make it to be. Some people have to complete a 5th year. Some people can go to a community college. I was a national transfer student ambassador like a year and a half ago. And I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and spoke about my experience of being a community college student and transferring to a university. And what a lot of students have the understanding of is that if you go to a community college, you can't go on to do big things like get a PhD or become a medical doctor and things of that nature. And I kind of proved them wrong. I'm at a university now and I'm doing exceptional, and the medical schools know my name, So I think it's important to show people that you can. I'm a living example, and that everybody's story is going to be different when you go through college. And so that's going to be kind of part of my testimony as I go into, Death with OB Great and into speaking to people about school, because I went to a community college for a year and then I transferred, and that changed everything for me. It was probably one of the best decisions I could have made. But, it's like, how do you get other people to understand that? Because as a young kid, you're like, I want to go to a university first. I have to go there. I want to go to, say, Vanderbilt University. I don't want to go to a community college and transfer. How do you break that? And so that's why I'm telling my story. And I want to be immersed in what I love so that I can show people it's possible.
Yes, 100%. And I think you really touched on the fact that these experiences can be different. And they can still be successful. And I do think that people may have this understanding that college is supposed to be this straight line, but really one of the best things I've ever heard was that it's about what you learn outside the classroom. Like, what does it teach you about your character? What does it teach you about your socializing skills? What does it teach you about the way you need to learn? Just like you're saying, like, I just learned how to study. That's what college is for.
Right.
Unless you're doing something technical, like how you're going to go be a doctor, a lot of that is character building.
It truly is, because what's funny is I had a friend and she was applying to medical school. This is a true story. And she had a high MCAT score. The MCAT is the medical college admissions test, and you can score anywhere from a 472 to like a 528. And so the average score is about 500, and she had like a 507. And so that's actually great in like the medical school eyes. Well, she didn't get accepted to medical school. And a friend of mine that I know had a 498, got accepted fully and got a scholarship. So what was the factor that made her not get accepted? And it was her character. So for me, going through college, going through a community college, I had more free time on my hands. And so I was able to be like, okay, well, I know I want to be a doctor, but I think it's important that I volunteer, that I observe doctors, that I see what they do. So I had time on my hands where I could go to, we have UMMC, it's the main hospital here in Jackson, Mississippi. I went there and volunteered in the women's hospital. And so I was passing out ice to women. I mean, I had nothing else going for myself other than studying. I was passing out ice. I met residents. I met, everybody, nurses. I sat with them and they all taught me. They talked to me, and I was learning common sense. Besides being book smart, common sense. And if you don't have a little, like both, like it's a tough world. And year after year, as I began doing that, I even volunteered with the medical students like the Jackson Free Clinic, and they taught me, don't ask these kind of questions, ask these kind of questions. If it's a question you can look up on the internet, like what is average blood pressure, do not ask it out loud, because this is how these doctors are going to look at you. So I'm learning the street world, right, in medicine, and I'm learning what I'm learning in the books. And I think that's the most important thing you could learn going through college, is getting experience in the field that you wanted to go in.
Okay, Macia, you just took us to church now.
And that's why we have OB Great, because we want to be able to tell people, look, this is what you need to do. Like, this is where you're at. This is what you need to do. And don't give up. That's the main thing. Don't, never, never, never give up. Do this and don't give up. That's literally the whole theme of us being where we are right now in life. Not to give up, and it's going to pay off in the end.
Yes. Okay, I will call you. I mean, after hearing that, I will call you.
Hey, look, book a session. We're here. I'll give you a free one.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna have to call into OB Great. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe I could be a test influencer or something, or maybe like do
Yeah,
a special guest influencer.
definitely.
I don't
A
know.
guest influencer. You can speak to the OB Great Ascension. We normally have a good amount of people that attend that. And so we'll have people be like, okay, can I ask you this question? And it's very real. We want it to be real and raw. Just talk about your experience because, we don't want it to be like the perfect story, da 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 da. Like if it has mess ups, people pay more attention to that and they're like, okay, that happened. I can't let it happen in my life, or that happened and look where she's at now. People look at stuff like that. So whatever you sort of tell about your story, it's helping the rest of us. So we would love that.
Yes. Okay. And I've got some lived experience. There's no testimony without the test.
Okay. Yo,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah. And then also too, I was having this discussion about failure and how, to me, failure is just when you actually quit. That's the actual failure. When you don't finish it or you give up. Other than that, it's not over yet. It's not over until it's over. So, really being able to eliminate this thought of failure from my life, like getting to the point where that's not an actual thing.
Definitely. So my dad, like I tell everybody, my dad passed away in January of this year. And I felt so at a loss because I was just like, he was an alcoholic. And so all my life I had been watching him go down. And it wasn't until I started college where I started his health just rapidly going down. And so as I'm sitting here trying to go to school and having to go home and be his caretaker, I'm like, okay, which one do I have to choose? And I chose both. I love my dad too much just to focus on school. And I did take a GPA cut, but at least, especially during COVID, I got to spend a lot of my time with him before he passed away. But even whenever he did pass away, a lot of my friends who've had parents that passed away, they take a semester off. I could have done that. I could have said, you know what, I need a break. I can't do school. I can't concentrate. Or I could have kept going. I could have just kept going. What would have happened? And I'm here today. I kept going through the semester of school. And this is the first semester that I got a 3.7 GPA. That was the highest GPA I got at my university. And I didn't have that stressor of being concerned about my dad and making sure he's okay. He's been with me this whole time. And if it were him, he would have just said, you know what, just look, I'm here, you're there, keep going, keep being great, go be great, don't worry about me. That's what I know he would be saying to me right now. And that's how a lot of people need that push. They need that push factor. So when it came to grieving and loss, I was like, would I make this an OB Great session? And I said yes. There was about half my influencers that said they would take that on because they've gone through grieving and loss. And even talking to them, I just felt so empowered because I was like, wow, it's such a different way that we can look at death. A lot of people say death is scary. And I mean, that's true. But I mean, the people who are dead and gone, they're in a better place than us, living in grace because we're Christians down here. And that's what we believe, our family members are in heaven and they're in a better place. And now it's time for us to give our 100 in this life until we go up and we're in heaven as well. And so that's why in our sessions, we talk about stuff like that.
And also really quick, where is down here?
Jackson, Mississippi. So all in the South. Oh man, you need to come to Jackson, Mississippi. It's a nice area. Brandon, we're about 20 minutes from Jackson. And so a lot of Southern people, we're very we love church, very Christian. And it's beautiful. Being in the South is a beautiful thing. You make it beautiful. Everything's a choice in life.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to have to come. Now that we've opened up, I've gotten so many more invitations to visit different places. I've gotten 3 invitations to Nigeria. So I'm just saying.
Wow.
I must be about to be on my way.
Yeah, go to Nigeria. I would also go to Japan. I used to live there. My family and I lived there for about 4 years because both my parents were in the service and they had orders to go there. And so I grew up in a Japanese school. I spoke Japanese and everything. The food was great. So I have that multicultural experience of going over there. So now when I'm here, like it's so easy for me to like talk to and relate to everybody because it's just I don't see, one color. I don't see one person or one group. I see everybody as a same as me, equal.
Yeah. So wait, you speak Spanish and Japanese?
I don't speak Japanese like I used to, but Spanish for sure. I know a little bit of Japanese. But that
This is too much.
Nobody, they don't speak it here. So unfortunately I lost that trait, but I encourage anybody to learn a language. Like you could actually book a session with my influencer, Corellis or Ariadna. They speak Spanish. And so they teach you anything you want to know. If you're about to go on a date or if you're just trying to know something, just type in, hey, I just want to learn basic Spanish. And they got you. It's like a 1 hour session. And it's so cool because they're like, hey, how much Spanish do you know? And they'll ask you in Spanish. But they'll make the session fun.
Okay, my mom's been trying to learn Spanish. I may have her call in the OB I'm like, Mom, get your card.
That'd be fun. My influencers love teaching Spanish. It's just one of those things where it's become the second language now. So it's better to know a little than none at all.
Wow. Okay. I'm just blown away. Yesterday we definitely we went over the business. We had the whole presentation, but today I feel like we were actually able to dive into how your life experiences have helped you shape your business. Definitely. And now I feel like it makes more sense.
Definitely. I've gone through a lot, but I've learned patience through it all. And so when I deal with people, I have a lot of patience. Whatever a person's going through, I sit there and I listen. And it's hard for me to judge people because I'm sitting there trying to think, how could this person fix themselves? How can they become a better person? How can they change their life right here, right now? And so when I listen to people, that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm thinking about what can I say? And it's going to make them reconsider. And it's just being real and raw with people. And that's just what I've learned through my military parents. I mean, Marines. Like military parents are a whole nother level, but growing up in school and not really being associated with groups of people. So I was always socially isolated. I was by myself. I had a lot of time to think. Was it to worry more or was it to go ahead and just be happy by myself? Whenever you're like alone, you're not lonely. It's those kind of mindsets that I've had to learn growing up. So as I sit down and listen to people, it's easy for me to figure out what maybe their problem may be, or if there was even a problem,
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I definitely want to wrap this up. We're heading on about 45 minutes. Okay. I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining and becoming a member. I think we met maybe last year and we're communicating back and forth. And I've been watching your business grow. I've been watching you drop new content, new merch, grow your team. I was there when you took some time off of social media so that you could study, so I'm watching your entrepreneurial journey. I'm a part of your journey. And I mean, it's just amazing. This is one of my favorite parts.
I love it. I think you guys gave me more hope in my business because I wish I had a mentor in business. And I didn't until I met Young Black and in Business. And anybody who's looking for like mentors, people who get them to think differently, like y'all are like the gurus. So that's why y'all are my first ones. I applied to Black Ambition earlier this year by Pharrell for the, it's like a funds for the business. I applied to that and I was like, okay, what kind of mentor can I get? And I just remember Brittany, I remember her from something. Oh, Young Black and in Business. Maybe I should reach back out to her. Boom. We're here today and we're here for a reason. So.
Well, thank you. I feel even more special. Like I won out a customer over Pharrell.
Oh yeah.
I got to put that on my resume now. Like, hold up, I'm worth more now.
Yes, that'll be great. We're going to be sending you some stuff in the mail. So I'll be sending you an email seeing what your address is so we can send you some OB Great merch. You can have some on you. I'm very excited. We're going to put this in our store. And again, this is going to be for everybody. It's going to be tailoring towards mental health. soap, stationary items. You know, it's going to be huge. So everybody stay tuned.
Yes. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited. So stay on the line. We're going to cut the live stream. We're going to be on Instagram this Thursday at 7 o'clock, you know, just continuing to learn more about Macia, her business. Each time we get on live, it gets a little bit more deep. So now I can't wait for Thursday's Instagram. So thank you for joining. Again, my name is Brittany Miller, the Chief Marketing Officer for Young Black and in Business, and this is Updates from the C-Suite